You haven't signed anything and he hasn't signed anything yet.
No.
Is that because are you guys still trying to work it out, or does it just make more sense for you guys to just be separated right now?
Well, the thing is, we've sat and had a conversation about trying to maybe not do it through attorneys and see if we can come to some type of agreement, that way. And at the same time, I also feel like, and it's not even the point of just trying to work it out, but I'm also like, I'm at a place where I'm like, okay, I pretty much kind of got the information, and am I ready to serve him with these papers? This is the first time something like this has happened in our marriage, and I'm feeling like, okay, is the answer immediately, although it's all this crazy stuff that's happened, is the answer immediately divorce, step into this place, or is it let's try to figure out if we're going to just separate and try to work out percentages, things like to that nature. So that's kind of where it is right now, just maybe considering not having to do an actual divorce, but just at this moment, but just figuring out what we want to do and see if we want to go ahead and take it to the divorce line later, or that may not be the case. As of right now, who's to say? My main concern ain't even just the fact of filing the divorce. It's just about trying to, stay focused, not overstress myself, and get ready for this baby, whether he's a part of the situation or not.
Good.
The moment Rasheeda Frost stepped into the spotlight, her hand gently resting on her growing belly, the room seemed to pause. Her eyes sparkled with a mix of joy, hope, and renewal emotions that were rich with meaning. It wasn't just any announcement. It was a moment of triumph for her. The struggles she had faced in her life had been significant, and yet, here she was, standing tall and proud. The message she shared was simple, but the meaning behind it was profound. She was pregnant again, this time with Kirk Frost's child. For Rasheeda, this wasn't just about the pregnancy. It was a symbol of victory, a clear reflection of how far she had come. It spoke to her strength, her belief in love, and the bond she shared with Kirk, despite the many challenges they'd faced. The journey hadn't been easy, but it was one she had fought for. It was a testament to her resilience and her ability to overcome the struggles of the past. The couple had endured so much in their marriage: betrayals, misunderstandings, and the heavy weight of their complicated history. But after all the heartache, they were finally ready to start something new. Something beautiful. Their love had survived, and now they were welcoming a new life into the world. "I'm happy to say that Kirk and I are expecting again," Rasheeda said, her voice thick with emotion. She smiled as she spoke to the gathered media, surrounded by the bright flash of cameras. "It's been a tough journey, but we're moving forward. Our love is stronger than ever, and this baby is a blessing." Standing beside her, Kirk mirrored her smile, his eyes shining with pride. Despite the mistakes he had made in the past, mistakes that had once pushed Rasheeda to the brink, this moment made it all seem worth it. This was his redemption. The news of their child marked the start of a new chapter, one that represented hope for their future. It was proof that, despite everything, they had worked through their differences and were committed to rebuilding their family. As the announcement spread, the world reacted. Social media lit up with a mixture of congratulations and skepticism. Some praised the couple for their resilience, applauding them for overcoming the hardships they'd faced. Others, however, questioned the timing of the news or the nature of their relationship. But for Rasheeda and Kirk, the opinions of outsiders didn't matter. They had weathered their storms together and were now focused on what was ahead. While Rasheeda and Kirk celebrated, there was another person who wasn't feeling the same joy: Jasmine. Jasmine had been at the center of many of the issues that had plagued Rasheeda and Kirk's marriage. Years ago, she had entered their lives, bringing with her a whirlwind of emotions and complications. The paternity of her child had been a point of tension, and although Kirk and Rasheeda had worked through it, the emotional scars had never fully healed. Jasmine had once believed that Kirk would choose her. She had convinced herself that the bond they shared was something deeper than just an affair. But over time, that hope had slowly faded. Her relationship with Kirk had never lived up to the fairy tale she had imagined. Instead, it had been filled with pain and disappointment. Now, with the news of Rasheeda's pregnancy, Jasmine found herself overwhelmed with emotion. All the feelings she had tried to bury, betrayal, hurt, and loss came rushing back. She had spent so long hoping for a life with Kirk, but now it felt as though everything she had worked for had crumbled. Watching Rasheeda and preparing for the Yorok alone with her broken leg too much to bow me was mo bobo day. Mo siwe bear. Jasmine broke down in private, away from the public eye. How could she not? She had given so much to Kirk, only for it to be in vain. The family she had once dreamed of building with him was now being built with someone else. The pain was deep, and the hurt felt unbearable. Sitting alone in her apartment, Jasmine scrolled through her phone, her hands shaking as she read through the messages. Some came from friends offering sympathy, others from people who didn't know the full story but wanted to pick sides. But none of it mattered. None of it could change the fact that Kirk had moved on. Rasheeda had won. The man she had fought for, the man she had believed in, had chosen someone else. Jasmine's mind replayed the moments when Kirk had promised her he would always be there for her. She had believed him truly. But now, all of that seemed like a distant memory, a part of the past she could never go back to. Rasheeda had fought for Kirk's love and had succeeded in ways Jasmine never could. Tears flowed down Jasmine's face as she sat in the dark, struggling to process the overwhelming pain. She had tried to be strong. She had tried to move on. But now everything seemed lost. Every step she had taken forward over the years felt like it had been undone in a single moment. "This wasn't how it was supposed to be," she whispered through her tears. "I was supposed to have a family. I was supposed to have everything I dreamed of." But now, she was left with nothing but the pain of rejection. Kirk's attention had always shifted between women, leaving Jasmine stuck in the middle. Now, she realized that she was nothing more than an afterthought, a mistake, a chapter that would never have a happy ending. She wasn't the one who had won. It wasn't her love that had triumphed. But even as she wept, Jasmine understood something deep within herself. This wasn't the end of her story. It was just another painful chapter. She didn't know how long it would take to heal, but she knew one thing for sure. The love she had for Kirk would never be enough to make him choose her. That realization, as painful as it was, would eventually help her move forward. Meanwhile, Rasheeda and Kirk were focused on their future, their hearts filled with hope. They had gone through so much difficult times that almost broke them, but now they were looking ahead, knowing they had everything they needed to make their family whole again. They had each other, and they were welcoming a new life into the world. The contrast between Rasheeda and Jasmine could not have been more stark. For one, this was a time of celebration. For the other, it was a painful reminder of all that had been lost. Rasheeda, at peace with the life she had built, was joyfully anticipating the arrival of a new baby. Jasmine, however, was torn apart by the shattered dreams of her past. But time has a way of healing even the deepest wounds. And while Rasheeda and Kirk's journey was just beginning, Jasmine would have to find her own way. She would need to learn how to live with the lessons of the past, eventually letting go of the hurt that had shaped so much of her life. For now, the world watched as Rasheeda and Kirk embraced their joy. The future was bright for them. But for Jasmine, the road ahead would be one of quiet reflection. She would have to pick up the pieces of her life and start anew, learning to let go of the past and the pain that had held her back for so long. The journey for each of them was different. Rasheeda and Kirk were building their future together, while Jasmine was left to navigate her own path through the heartache. But in time, both women would find their way.